Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of 14.71 Racing Network. Today, we're doing a paragliding video. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a water ditching debrief. Definitely not the video I planned to bring for my first paragliding video, but it's what happened. It's real life. So, let's jump into it. So the plan is for us to go through the video together, and I'll point out what I think I did right, what I think I did wrong, and what I plan on changing for the next flight to make sure that this never happens to me again. So, this is me here. That is the wing that I am clipped into, and I am hooked up to a winch cable that you can see here. That is the drogue chute that catches the winch cable when I release from it. As you can see from the windsock here, we've got a slight right to left crosswind. However, that does change just before takeoff to becoming straight down the runway. I actually had an absolutely beautiful wind for my immediate takeoff. We'll get into when that changed and what happened when it changed. So immediately here, I am both happy and unhappy with my takeoff. So as you can see at the very beginning here, before the wing comes up, the winch actually drags me a little bit. That's not ideal. You want to hold back against the pressure of the winch to let it actually build up pressure within the hydraulics and then let it pull you ahead. I let it slide me a little bit. Not the biggest deal, but something to watch for the next flight. Here you can see the wing comes up absolutely perfectly, and we'll stop it there. The reason I stopped it there is because this is the best part of the flight. I'm very happy with my takeoff and how I pulled the wing up over my head. Came up very straight and immediate. Now, some of the reasons that the wing came up so well is because if you look at the beginning here, I had the wing set up in a nice horseshoe shape, and we had wind coming straight down the runway right before the takeoff. What that does is allows the whole wing to come up symmetrically, and you don't get any weird deflations on either side as the wing comes up. Makes for a nice takeoff. So right about here, you can tell obviously something has gone wrong. Not terribly wrong yet, but it's the start of a bad trend. As you can see, we're taking a little bit of a right to left crosswind, and my right hand is completely up. That means that I'm not putting any right brake in, which means that I'm not countering for the crosswind. That's going to put me pretty far off course to the left, as you'll see. So here, as you can see, I start to put in a little bit of right brake to bring it back, but I'm not being assertive enough on the controls, and I'm not being confident enough on the controls, and I'm just simply not putting in enough control input. So that's why the trend to the left continues. As you can see, as I get higher, typically the wind speeds will increase as you get higher in elevation. So that right to left crosswind is just getting worse up there, blowing me further away. I'll actually speed up through this part because it's pretty much the same trend all the way through. Until right here, where in my mind, as I start to come back to the right here, I believe I've finally put in enough control input, and I'm coming back to the right to center line where I should be. If you draw your attention down here to the windsock, you will notice that my right to left crosswind has changed from that to a left to right crosswind. That would explain why I'm coming back towards center line. So here you can see the drogue chute there. I made a good release, no tangles, no hang-ups on the release system, so that was very good. So right around here, if you're into paragliding at all and into towing specifically, you may be wondering, why is he flying so far downwind? Well, simply because I'm just not pulling on the left brake. I, once again, was not assertive enough with my control input. I wasn't confident enough with my control input, and I just wasn't putting any control input in. So that left-right crosswind was preventing me from making the turn that I needed to make to come back downwind to land in this area. As you can see, I come around, but very timidly. So right around here, my instructor on the radio has noticed that I am getting very low. I have not noticed this myself. He told me to make a left turn. He was actually trying to get me to turn around and land back on the runway heading. I thought he was trying to get me to come towards him and land the way that I was flying. Why I thought that, I'm not entirely sure. I just took off in the opposite direction. That would probably be landing downwind. Downwind landings are a lot faster, technically less safe. That's probably not what we're going to do. So that was a mistake in my thinking while I was flying. So right around here, I finally realize what he's actually trying to tell me to do, that he's telling me very clearly on the radio to do that I'm not doing, which is turn around and land the other way. You'll notice that we still have a bit of a left to right crosswind. It's died off. And you'll notice my biggest mistake here, once again, is just not putting in enough control input and just not being confident enough with my control inputs. So I end up lined up pretty much straight for this pond. I'm not putting in enough left brake here, and I start to run out of real estate very quickly. Around this point, I'm realizing that I'm probably not going to land on the left side of the trees. I'm probably going to end up on the pond side. Very unfortunate, definitely not what I planned to do. But my biggest fear here is putting too much left brake in and just hooking myself into the ground very hard. Definitely not my best option, so at this point, I've basically decided it's going to be a water ditching. Around here, you see the wing level out. I realized that on the other side of this pond, there was actually a small ramp that I might be able to make it to. So I went ahead and pointed the wing directly at that ramp. And unfortunately, as you can see there, I just didn't make it, and I ended up in the pond. And the wing disappears. It thankfully fell behind me and not on top of me. And I managed to swim to the edge. The pond wasn't very deep, thankfully. Two quick things that I wanted to add here. Two big mistakes that I made after I landed in the water. One, as you can see here, I didn't get my harness off after I landed in the water. Priority number one, if you do land in water, should absolutely be get that harness off and away from you. And number two, as you can see, I'm messing with my feet here. That's actually because the lines did almost immediately get wrapped around my legs. So if possible, get that harness off and away from you and swim away with your hands if you can at all. The more you kick your feet, the more they're going to get tangled up in those lines, and it happens surprisingly quickly. As you can see, the pond's not very deep, so it wasn't too much of an issue for me. But if you're in breaking water or deeper water of any sort, it definitely can become a big problem very quickly. So, as I said, get that harness off and away from you. Swim away with your hands if you can. If you have to use your feet, try to keep them away from the lines and use them as little as you can, would be my recommendation. Right here, I just want to stop and thank the safety crew that was there that day, along with my instructor. The safety crew was awesome. They were right on top of me. I was barely even to the edge before everyone was on top of me and ready to help me. They all helped me get the harness and the wing out of the water. And thank you to the instructor for not making me come back and wash his wing, because it was absolutely full of swamp water. It was kind of gross when it came out of there. Everything was, including me. Also, don't want anyone giving anyone crap for taking this picture. I did ask for these pictures to be taken after I got myself out onto the edge. For your enjoyment, of course. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick debrief. Once again, definitely not the video that I wanted to bring you guys for my first paragliding video, but it's real life, and I want to share my mistakes because it'll only help me and everyone else in the paragliding community, and in any of these types of sports, get better by sharing our mistakes and doing better next time. So if you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like this type of stuff and you like racing, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We've got all sorts of this type of content coming out regularly. If you think your friends will like this video, go ahead and hit the share button. Also, let me know down in the comments if you agree, disagree, or want to add anything to what I said.